Alright guys, welcome back to another fantastic Warframe video. In this video, I am going to be going over how to mod in Warframe. So I have made like 2 or 3 videos in the past talking about modding. But those are relatively older videos. So in this video, I'm just going to kind of go over, the modding and everything, but this is going to be more of a up-to-date / just better recorded version of the video for how to mod. So by the way, if you haven't watched my other tutorial videos, I will leave a playlist linked in the description. I'll probably have it pop down from the screen now or something like that. But yeah, I have a beginner's guide for my Warframe tutorials video. So check that out if you are interested in figuring some things out. But we're gonna get into the mods. So just to reiterate, this is about mods, but this is primarily going to be for beginners. So when it comes to mods, I'm not going to talk about Archwing mods. I'm not going over that right now. Right now, it's just going to be about Warframe mods and weapon mods. So first things first, you guys want to come over to your modding station, which is right here. Your arsenal is right here, and your mods station's right here. Alright, so starting off with your basic knowledge of mods and how mods work, kind of. You want to go over to your modding station, which is right here. This is the entrance of your ship, and it is the first tab, or not tab, but first station on your left. So you can see here, I am pretty high level and I have an absolutely insane amount of mods. You're not going to have anywhere near this amount when you first start playing this game, of course. But if you want to look over here, you have an option to sort your mods by different categories. You have duplicates, which is basically duplicates, take this mod, for example. This is Revenge. If you look at the number on the top left corner of each mod, that is how many mods you have for that specific type. So if you look at the top left corner of every mod you have, that tells you how many mods you have for that specific mod. So for Revenge, I have 708 Revenge mods. Quick Draw, I have 647 Quick Draw mods, and for Redirection, I have 631. That's a lot of mods. So, same thing goes for all these other mods. This is the duplicates category. You can sort these by rank. Rank is basically these blue dots on the bottom of each mod. It's basically what's called a rank. I'll get into more of this later throughout the video. But right now, it's sorted by how much you have ranked up your mods. And then we can sort by the type. Not gonna lie, I don't even know what type is. I'm not really sure how this is categorized. Yeah, that's what that is. Okay, so polarity. Now polarity, how do I explain this? I will explain this throughout the video, of course. But polarity is basically, if you look at the top right corner of every mod, for example, Hunter Adrenaline has a 6, and then there's like a Y symbol next to it. We call this the V polarity. Every mod will have the same polarity. So you can see these are all Vs. So if you go down further, let's see what else we have. These are all Vs. Okay, so right here is the start of the D polarity. We call this the D polarity. Not sure why, but that's what we call it. So right now, Accelerated Deflection has a number 9, top right corner. And there is a boomerang shaped symbol. We call that the D polarity. And all these mods will have that polarity. Same thing goes for the dash polarity. We call this little dash the dash polarity. So for example, Arrow Mutation has a number 2 and a dash next to it. And all of these other mods will have dashes. So that's how you separate your mods by polarity. Now for name, it's basically self-explanatory. You start with your letter A, and then you go all the way down to your letter Z's. Basically alphabetical order for all your mods. Then we go to the price. Price meaning how expensive these mods cost, I guess. So of course your least expensive will be the bronze mods. Then your most expensive will be the primed mods, which these are so-called primed mods, as well as these high-ranking gold mods. And then you can sort things by rarity, which is exactly what I was saying earlier. If you go down to all the way to the right, all these mods will be bronze, meaning these are fairly common mods. Then you have the blue mods, which are common. Or no, it'll be uncommon, I guess. And then the gold ones will be rare. And then you will have your primed mods, which are very rare. These are the most, well, some of the most expensive mods to buy on ranked as well. But again, I'll get into that later. Then you have your riven mods, which are extremely uncommon. I'll explain how to get these later on. Then you have galvanized mods, which you can only get by buying these off of a certain trader, but I'm not going to get into that right now. Then you have the Horizon mods. I'm not getting into this because as a beginner, you will not experience any of these things until way further down the line. Just know these things exist. Okay, was that the last category? Then you have recent. So recent is whatever mods you acquire during the last game. So yeah. But yeah, I usually stick to the duplicates because every now and then I need money. And I can just select the whole stack and sell these for almost 2,000 Indo. We're going to talk about the Warframe mods. So, you go to your arsenal, you have your Warframe, right? You want to select upgrade, or you can press Y, or on mouse and keyboard, you just hit it, right? So, you will be greeted with this interface every time. To the left, you have a capacity. In layman's terms, a capacity is basically all the mod numbers added up to equal 28. Or something like that. Basically what happens is, if you look at the, I'm gonna use my mouse for this. So if you look at the top right corner of every mod, they have numbers. I'm gonna sort this by drain, I guess. Also, when you start modding, when you're actually in the modding area like this for weapons or warframes, you can actually have an additional category, which is called drain. Drain is basically the highest number to the lowest number. So we have blind rage, which has the highest, or one of the highest numbers here, 16. And then all the way to the right would be the lowest numbers. We have 2. We have 2 and 4, 6, and 8. Well, all those numbers. So yeah, so basically, capacity, you have a maximum capacity of 28. If you throw in blind rage, this goes down to 12, right? If you throw on another mod that has a number 12, you now have 0 capacity. What does that mean? That means you can't put any other mod on here because you have no capacity left. So, as you noticed, when I picked one of these mods up, you can see here that this slot is green and this slot is red. What does that mean? Basically what happens is, you see how this one on the bottom is green and then this one at the top is green? You see these polarities or these symbols? We want to match these. So for adaptation, we have a D polarity. And then for blind rage, we have a V polarity. So you can see here, if we throw it there, this becomes green. But what does that mean exactly? Well guys, what that means is if you match these polarities together, what happens is your capacity for the mod gets halved. So, take this off here. As you see here, if we throw on adaptation, it has a capacity of 12. So, you take 28, you divide, or you minus it by, you subtract it by 12, you get 16. If I throw this mod in this slot that has the matching polarity, you're actually going to divide that mod number by 2. And guess what? This mod, which is 12, then becomes 6. Now look, you have 6 more capacity numbers. That's pretty cool, right? So we throw on Blind Rage, we still have 16. So you take 22, subtract it by 16, and you get 6. Guess what? You divide 16 by 2, you get 8. Now you have basically half of your capacity left, which is pretty cool, right? So now you have 14 more available capacity numbers. So what you want to do is you want to throw whatever mods you want on there. You can have Vitality, which is 12. Now you have 2 more slots open, or not slots, but 2 more capacity. So say you want to throw on Mobilize. You can throw Mobilize on there. Now you have reached your capacity. Now you are no longer able to add any more numbers or any more mods. Now, what happens if you put the wrong polarity? This is a D polarity, right? But this is a V polarity. What happens? Well, I'm actually gonna go back so I can show this better. So what happens, right? You have, let's take narrow-minded, right? 16. If you throw this in a wrong polarity, that 16 becomes 20. Say if you have a whole bunch of mods, and this is the build you want, but you have 2 other mods that you want to put on, but they don't match the polarity. Say you want to use Strain Consume, but you can't put these here because they don't match polarities. As you can see, this has a number of 2, a capacity of 2. If you were to hover over this, that 2 goes down to, or goes up to 3, because they don't match the polarities. So, you can still put these mods here, just know that it will drain more capacity, you know? So basically, use your mods how you want, but always stay cautious of these because you're gonna drain more capacity, right? So that's the basics of modding. So we have 2 other slots up here, which you're probably wondering about. This top left slot is called the aura slot. If you look at all of these symbols, right, you have your different polarities, you have your V, your D, your dash. Then you have some other ones. You have one that's called Xeneric. You have one that's called the Umbra. And then this is the any slot. Basically what happens is you can throw this on here and it will match whatever polarity this is. I'm going to have to show you guys a different Warframe because Excalibur does not have that. So let's go to Frost, for example, right? Yeah, Frost. Remove all this. Okay, so if you look at Frost, he has a D polarity in his aura slot. So, if you go to the any category, this slot, or this mod doesn't have that D polarity, it has an any polarity. Meaning, it does not matter what polarity is in the aura slot, you can throw this on here and it will automatically match that polarity. I only have this one mod, so I mean, that's pretty cool. And then you have the aura slot, or the aura category. All of these mods are able to go into the aura slot, and because they are aura mods, that means you cannot put these mods anywhere else. So if I try to put on Ready Steel here, it won't let me. Because since this mod is only an aura mod, it can only go in the aura slot. Alright, so now for aura mods, these are interesting because every single aura mod has its own different thing going on. And as you look at Frost, he has a max capacity of 60. So quick note, Warframe capacity and weapon capacity is determined off of your mastery rank, which mine is 22, and the rank of your actual Warframe, as well as, if we go to actions, every Warframe will have this slot right here. If you build a Warframe from scratch, this will be empty and you will have to add this in there. An Orokin reactor is added to increase your mod capacity. If you buy a Warframe from the store, it automatically comes with this. So you don't have to spend extra Orokin reactors on them. And by each mastery rank you go up, say if you're 23, I believe this number goes up by 2. So if you're mastery rank 23, this will be 62. And then if you go up to 24, it would be 64. So aura mods, like I was saying earlier, have their own unique abilities. If you throw on an aura mod in the slot that matches the polarity, for example, let's go over to Rejuvenation. This has a 7 and it has the polarity. You're probably wondering, what's that little up arrow next to all of the aura mods? Every single aura mod has a little accent next to the number. That means your mod capacity will be increased. Let's take Ready Steel. This has a, since this is unranked, you throw this on here, it goes up by 4. But it had 2, right? You would think it would go up 2. No, since it matches the polarity, now it goes up by 4, it doubles. So remember how I was explaining to you guys, if you throw on a mod in these polarities, it halves. Since these mods drain, if you match the polarities, it'll be halved. But since your aura mods increase, it won't be halved, it'll be double. See how we have 64 capacity? We take this off, we are down to 60 because we don't have an aura slot or an aura mod. So if you were to add in a fully maxed out mod, these are all fully ranked. See how the slots are all filled with the blue stars? These are fully ranked. So you're probably wondering, well, this is 7. Since it'll match the polarity, then that'll be 14, right? Yes, you are right. So now you have 74 capacity. So now you can put in more mods. Probably wondering, what happens if I put in a wrong polarity? Well, this 7 then becomes 5. You're still increasing. See how it went from 60 to 65? You're still getting more capacity slots, but you're cutting yourself short since you're not matching the polarity. Alright guys, so that's pretty much the gist of modding. It's pretty straightforward. From here on out, you basically take all the principles I explained to you and you determine what mods you want to throw on regarding the knowledge I gave you. So if we look at Stynex, right? Let's look at Stynex. Let's mod Stynex out. Let's reset the numbers. Okay, cool. So now Stynex has a capacity of 60. Always remember, you want to mod accordingly to your Warframe and how your Warframe works. Just given his abilities, let's look at this first ability. We have a range, we have damage, we have duration, and we have damage range and damage in general for his explosion. We have a drain, which is that little blue icon next to 15. The blue icon is your energy cost. If we take a look at a specific mod that actually cater towards your drain, for example, Streamline. Any efficiency mod will decrease your drain. So remember how it's a first ability costs 15 energy? Now it costs 10 energy, or 10.5 energy. And since this has a capacity of 9, if you throw this into the matching polarity, it goes down to 5. So now you have more capacity. We have other stats here for its first ability. We have damage and we have range. So let's take a look at some, let's categorize this by, so we have damage and then we have range. So if you look at, let's type in range. So these are all of our range mods. We have Augur Reach, extends the ability range by 30%. We have Overextended, which increases your range by 90% at the cost of ability strength. So this is actually an ideal mod to showcase. So our first ability has a range stat, which is 50 meters, and a damage stat, which is 1250, and you have 1250 for your explosion damage. If we throw on Overextended, take a look over here, our base range, which was 100%, increases to 190%, as well as our base strength goes down to 40%. So if we take a look at our first ability now, that 1250 damage is now 500 across the board. But Our range increased from, what was it before? It was 50 meters. It goes from 50 meters all the way to 95 meters. So if we take a look at damage mods, we just type in damage. Let's see here. Oh, I'm sorry, not damage. Let's do strength. That's the, what am I doing here? Strength, okay. Strength determines damage as well, so keep that in mind. Intensify increases your ability strength by 30%. So, our damage, which is 1250, add this here, it now goes up to 1625. Let's take a look at some more damage mods. We have Blind Rage. This goes up 99%. 2,862 damage. That's a lot of damage, guys. Let's look at some more damage mods. We have Augur Secrets. This goes up to 24%. This one there, 3,162.5 damage. That's a lot of damage. Let's look at this. Amar's Hatred, more damage. 3,350 damage. That's even more damage. Let's look at some more damage mods. We have another one. Transient Fortitude, 55% damage. 4,037.5 damage. These are strictly damage mods, but you're probably wondering what's going on. I have red numbers. So, if you look at Transient Fortitude, this increases your ability strength by 55% at the cost of ability duration, which is now decreased to 27.5%. So if you look at one of his abilities that requires duration, okay, so his third ability, which is Rally Point, if you look down here, his duration is 33 seconds. Since we threw on Transient Fortitude, which decreases it by 27.5%, that 33 seconds is now down to 24.75 seconds. So always keep in mind of the mods you're throwing on. Ability efficiency is now down from 100 to 45%. Blind Rage decreases your ability efficiency by 55%. What does that mean? Well, like I said earlier, ability efficiency is basically how much it costs to cast an ability. So let's take this off. If you look at any ability that requires energy, which all of these do, your 1 requires 15 energy, your 2 requires 25, your 3 requires 75, and then your 4 requires 100 energy. If we throw on Blind Rage, this decreases your efficiency by 55%. Now, your first ability, which costed 15 energy, is now 23 energy. Your second ability, which costed 25 energy, is now 38. Your third ability, which costed, was it 75 energy? 75 is now 116. That's pretty much just under double. So let's take a guess what your fourth ability will now cost. Remember, it was 100 energy. Now it's 155. Keep that in mind. Okay, say for example, you don't need as much strength, right? So let's say you can work with these three strength mods, right? But you really need Blind Rage, but you're losing efficiency. So you have a drain of 155. Let's take a look at efficiency. So, like I was saying earlier, Streamline is a efficiency mod. You have Blind Rage, which decreases it by 55%. You have an ability that costs 155 energy. If you throw on Streamline, it now goes down to 125 energy. If you throw on more efficiency mods, you can counterbalance the negativity of the Blind Rage mod. So you have Streamline, which is 30%. If you throw on another mod, which is Fleeting Expertise, this grants you 50% efficiency at the cost of 50% duration. That 15 is now 11, the 25 is now 18, the 75 is now 56, and the 100 is now 75. Say you don't even need blind rage. Take this off. Now look. Look at these numbers. Now your first ability costs 3 energy. Your second ability now costs 6 energy. Your third ability, 18, and your fourth ability, 25 energy. Okay, let's say Cyan X doesn't even have duration for any of his abilities. That now means you can use these 2 mods and you can spam cast these abilities. Because since they don't require duration, this negative stat doesn't even affect you. So yeah, that's just a few ways you can mod. I was explaining, all your stats. Let's take a look at another Warframe. Let's look at Zephyr, right? This is my Zephyr Prime. I call her Batman. So her 1 doesn't really need damage. Her 1 is mostly used to hover around, like you see in the video up here. She can fly around and she can hover. So the best thing you can use for this ability is efficiency. These numbers down here don't necessarily matter for Zephyr because you don't really need any of those stats. All you can really throw on her is efficiency mods to make this ability spam castable. So her second ability is Air Burst, which, as you can see in the video, it groups up enemies together, which is pretty cool. For this mod, you'd want range. As you can see here, there is a damage, but damage doesn't really matter for this mod, or for this ability. It doesn't really do a lot of damage. So her third ability, this ability basically allows you to be invincible. So, as you can see, they're shooting lasers at you and it's being diverted, which is pretty cool. This mod uses literally 2 things, duration and radius, or range, I guess. So you really want to stack duration mods on her and range mods. If you look at her last ability, is Tornado. So you see in the video, she basically summons a few tornadoes. And for this, you really want duration, range, and damage, pretty much. So, judging off of her abilities and what they need, if you look at a build like this, like I was saying earlier, damage mods are really not something you want on Zephyr, because damage mods are useless on Zephyr, because she doesn't really need damage on any of her abilities to be a good Warframe. Obviously, you're not going to have primed mods when you're first starting out, so replace these with the regular mods. So for example, one thing to note, by the way, every primed mod has a regular version. Keep that in mind. So, primed continuity, if you have regular continuity, throw that on there, because you won't have this. We have primed flow, which increases your energy. You're probably not going to have this, but you probably will have regular flow, so throw that on there. Everything else you should have, or you might have, you probably won't have Cunning Drift, and you probably won't have Overextended. Overextended costs about 10 to 15 platinum. But yeah, this is my basic Zephyr build. This is a regular build that does the job, and it does the job really well. You're probably wondering, well, that's cool and all. I understand how this stuff works now, but what the heck is this stuff over here? What are these 2 icons here? These are called arcanes. I mean, I guess I can explain to you what arcanes are. You probably won't really get into arcanes until not late game, but mid game, I guess. There is an actual arcane station right here. Basically, what arcanes do is, if you look at this one, for example, this is a current rank 2 arcane. So on critical hit, this does, or you get 30% extra, or I'm sorry, you get 30% chance of 45% fire rate to primary weapons, which excludes shotguns, for 9 seconds. Basically, arcanes are just additional mods that are really good. I'm not going to get into this because this is not technically a mod, but I'll probably make a separate video on arcanes themselves. But yeah, so that's modding for Warframes. Now, in the next video, I will discuss weapon mods, because this video is probably over a half an hour long, and there's a lot to discuss, so my next video will be weapon mods, primaries, secondaries, and melee mods, which are all going to be one category since they're all weapons. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I am not the greatest when it comes to explaining things. I really do try my best. I really want to help people understand how this game works, because when I first started playing this game, I was lost like none other. By the way, Zephyr is one of the best frames, if not the best frame to use as a beginner. If you can get Zephyr early game, it's over. Okay? It is over. Zephyr is goated, okay? But anyways, like I was saying, I want to do my best to help you guys understand how this game works. Because initially, there are a lot of numbers, there are a lot of names, there are a lot of categories, there are so many things about this game that can easily discourage people to stop playing. Because that's kind of what happened to me when I first played this game. I tried my dang best to understand how this game worked. Shout out to iFlynn. He basically helped me understand how to play this game, because he also had tutorial videos for beginners. I want to do my best to help you guys understand how to play this game. Please subscribe. It means a lot to me. And follow me on Twitch, because I do play this game every Wednesday. I call it Wednesday Warframe, or Warframe Wednesdays, I guess, as well as The Witcher. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If it did help you out, please let me know in the comment section. And I will catch you all in the next video.